Why is your productivity level so low? Why do you feel as though you're not accomplishing things the way you like to? Why do you feel as though you are always behind when it comes to production? I'm gonna give you 3 simple steps today to help you increase your productivity. Hey, what's up, fam? Dr. Dale here. This is Permission to Be Great podcast. Super excited that you joined us again. Hopefully again. If you missed the last, however many episodes I've done over the entirety of the show, go check them out on my YouTube channel. And quick favor to ask you before we dive in, please, if you like your boy, hit subscribe. If you don't like your boy, hit subscribe anyway and help a brother out. All right, man, super excited. So please hit that subscribe button. Let's dive right in. So, this is an issue that comes up all the time, right? And the question I get a lot. People are often asking me, "Hey, Dr. Dale, how are you able to get so much done? You get this done, you get that done." I do a lot of stuff. I'm a full-time ICU practicing doctor, right? So that's my day job. What I'm doing during the daytime. In the evenings, of course, I'm a husband, dad, coach, all sorts of stuff, right? I run a business, right, that I've been doing for over 10 years, stuff that I started when I was a resident, right? So I do a lot of stuff. Let's just say that I do a lot of stuff, write books, right? You see all my books behind me. I've published, I think 12, 13 books, something like that, right? Always working on a book. So I do a lot of stuff, right? So in general, I do believe that my productivity level is fairly high, right? Not even believe my productivity level is fairly high, right? But it doesn't just happen, right? There are a lot of things that I do that I've done over the years to put myself in position to be able to do this. People are like, oh, how do you do that? How do you do that? How's it this thing is lasting and doing so well still, right? It's because I've grown over the years, right? Permission to be great. I'm always teaching you guys about the idea of personal development, personal development, personal development. Work on yourself, invest in your growth, and I've done that over the years. I faithfully like to think. So I'm at the point now where I can be rather productive, but it's not magic. There's a skill set, there's knowledge behind it. I'm going to give you 3 of the perhaps most powerful steps, things that I utilize in order to achieve that. Right. So the first one, number 1, is optimize your work environment. Optimize your work environment. I cannot tell you how big of a deal this is to optimize your work environment. People come in and people are like working and they're doing stuff in a poor environment, right? The desk is messy, the room is messy, it's loud, there's junk everywhere. And it's difficult to focus if the environment around you is messy. Some people might say, oh yeah, I do just fine. I've been doing like this for 30 years. But imagine if you were in a clean environment. Just you're here right now. But imagine if you had a better environment. Imagine if you'd probably be higher. You just probably would. People are like, oh, do better in chaos. Well, do you? Have you tried to work in a situation that's non-chaotic, in a situation that's clean? Here's the thing about organizing your physical environment. When you organize your physical environment, I believe that helps you better organize your mental environment, right? When that area around you is chaotic, when the area around you is a mess, inside your brain can be more chaotic, can be a mess, like more distractions, just not well put together. And there's a sense of stress. I can tell you when I walk in my house or something, if it's ever messy, there's a sense of stress that I have. My wife and I used to talk about this all the time. When we were younger, probably early doctors, probably early in our residency when we were doctors, I would talk about, it's probably when we had kids actually. I would talk about, hey babe, when I come home, when you come home, my wife's a doctor too. So really, when we come home, it, it'd be good for us to make sure the house is always clean, always tidy, always, always well put together. And and both of us are trying to do it. We're both full-time physicians working and stuff. And I'm not telling her to do it because she works like I do. She's not telling me to do it. So we had to come up with a solution. So we ended up hiring somebody to come in and clean our house every now and then. And for us, that's worth the money that we spend on it, because that gives us an organized environment, that helps us think better, helps me function better when I'm making these podcast episodes. I don't have to worry about the stress level. When you come home, think about, when you come home to a messy house, you feel the extra stress level. If you know what I'm talking about, go clean your house. All right, go clean up your house and come up to that clean house. It's a different feeling, right? It gives you more confidence. For whatever reason, it gives you more confidence when you can walk into a house that's kingly, right? Like a palace. It becomes your palace. Nobody wants a messy palace, right? Organize your environment. Very, very important, right? So there's this I read in I remember which Gladwell book. One of the Gladwell books. It might have been Outliers. I don't remember. One of the Malcolm Gladwell books I read way back in the day. I remember him talking about. I might not get it right, but I remember him talking about something about like New York City or somewhere, and the subways and the streets and the areas and how dirty some of those places would be. And because it was dirty, people's behavior would be suboptimal, less than expected, less than desired in those areas, right? You see more crime, you see more violence, you see people making it even more dirty, just throwing stuff. I see it, when I drive to work. I work in Dallas. I can tell the difference between different areas of town. Right, some areas you see literally people will be driving down the street. I'm sitting behind them at a traffic light. They open your door. They put a whole bag of McDonald's or Jack in the Box, whatever, on the floor, like a whole bag of garbage. Just open the door, sit on the floor, and drive off. Right, but then you go to the environments that are different, I guess, cleaner or whatever, and that stuff doesn't happen. And that it has nothing to do with who lives there or whatever. What it has to do with is the environment that's being created, and the environment that's being allowed, honestly, by the governance systems, right? By whoever's governing the area. It's honestly that's they got to clean this stuff up, right? So the the book I read talked about that. And also, if you think about areas, like my brother, he was traveling, he'll tell me about certain places. I remember all of them, but talk about like how you go there and you're just so clean and nobody even would dare to put trash anywhere, right? In a society, they're so productive. It's because they created a physical environment to match the mental environment that they need to be productive. So make sure you have that, right? Make sure you have that. Um, Oh, other key thing about this, right? I got my notes here. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. But the other key thing about this with the environment, so I think about as a physician, right? Before I do a procedure, right? I do a lot of there's something called a bronchoscopy. I do a lot of cases where we're going to diagnose cancer, do different stuff in the airways and the lungs of patients, right? But before you do your procedure, right? Or even when I'm in the ICU doing a procedure, say I have to put in a central line in somebody's neck. There's vessels in your neck, and your jugular vein stuff. You put a line in there so you can give medicine and do different things, right? So say before you do any of that stuff, you make sure your environment is set up. You make sure things are clean. You make sure that whatever you need is in the right spot, right? So let's say I need a scalpel or something right there. Boom, it's right here from here. If whatever you need, right? Just grab it. It's right there. You make sure everything is set up. You set your environment up for success before you dive into whatever it is you're doing. So step number one, environment. Optimize your environment for success. Don't just jump into this thing like, yeah, let's go. Set your environment up. That'll save you so much more time. All right. So the second thing, we're talking about increasing productivity, right? The second thing I do is daily objectives. Daily objectives. This is huge. I learned this from, I believe, Brian Tracy years ago. So I was watching some YouTube videos just like you are watching this one. And Brian Tracy talks about this idea of having these daily objectives. And essentially what I did for him is, I might have one in here. 1 second. I think I've got it right here. I don't have my actual one with me, but what I started doing years ago, I still do it now, of course, but so I started buying these little memo pads, right? And a lot of people who've been rocking with me for years, you guys know this is what I do. I started buying these little memo pads, and within the memo pads, I would write my daily objectives, right? Um, I'm reading this one before I show it to you because I don't know if you're gonna be able to zoom in and see if I wrote anything here that I don't want y'all seeing for my objectives. Okay, yeah, I think it's okay. Right. Well, I'll just flash real fast. But anyways, I would list my daily objectives here, okay? And what I do is I write again, this from Brian Tracy. It would say, like for today, I have made my Permission to Be Great podcast, right? It's not I will. And Brian Tracy, the way he talked about that was he said that when you write it as I have, there's something you're doing to yourself subconsciously to let you know that you can accomplish it. So I have done this. Okay, it's possible for me to accomplish it because I wrote it as I have done this. That way, whenever I'm going through my thing and I'm reading it, it says I have made my Permission to Be Great episode for today, whatever it is that you have to do, right? So it gives me that extra boost of confidence that because I wrote I have done it, I can do it, right? So I do that, and usually I try not to do more than like 5. Sometimes I'll do it on a sheet of paper. Like I got a sheet of paper right here that I did mine on yesterday. Sometimes I'll just do it on a sheet of paper, but usually I try to keep something small like this with me at all times in my work bag or whatever. I'll say I have done this, I have done this, I have done this, and I would try to keep it to 5 things. Right. Sometimes it goes up to 7, like the one I just showed you has 7 on it. But it's going to be 7 that don't take as much effort or energy probably. But I would try to keep it to 5 things at most. And here's what's really important about this. When you do that, when you limit it to 5 things, it forces you to really prioritize. And I don't put little things on here. I put put things that are going to move the needle on here. Things that are going to move the needle. So, you know, like let's see here on here. Like on this one here, I wrote, I have emailed blank tax information. That's huge, right? I have to do that. I have to get my taxes done for my businesses and in my personal life to move the needle forward, or that's a showstopper, right? I put big things on there that need to be done. So forcing me to prioritize every single day. What are the most important things that I have to do to move towards my goal? If it's just doing something, it's not gonna be like, oh, I watched 5 hours of YouTube just to chill out, right? Now it could be I have watched Dr. Dale on YouTube, Permission to Be Great episode, my personal development, right? Or it could be something like that, but it's not gonna be like, oh, it's something that's going to move me towards whatever long-term, mission I have for myself, right? So that's huge. So it forces you to prioritize your day. That's what it does. It forces you to prioritize, say, if I can only pick 5 things, what are the 5 things that I'm going to say are most important for me today to move the needle forward? Right. And after you do it, you check the box. And, in medicine, whenever we get new interns in the academic medicine setting, right. So interns are people, they finish medical school and they're now early doctors, and we're teaching them how to really be doctors. Right. So they say in medical school, you get your medical degree, but in residencies where you actually become a doctor, where you actually learn how to become a doctor. So they're young early doctors. And one of the first things I always tell them is, hey, if you want to be a good intern, you have to make checky boxes. When we say checky boxes, same thing I just showed you, just a list, but you put a box on the side and you check the box off when you accomplish it. So that's exactly what I do. I've been making checky boxes since medical school, and I still make checky boxes today. I've got mine from yesterday right there. Right, about to do mine for after this episode. I'm going to make my checky boxes for today. Right, you've got to do the checky boxes. So important, so important. Other great thing about these daily objectives is your small wins, your small victories. So you have 5 of them done, and they're things that are manageable, doable within a period of time, within a day. It's not I'm going to put some huge thing that's going to take me a week, right? It's smaller, bite-sized things. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Nobody's eating elephants. I don't know why people say that, but it's smaller things. So you're doing the small things, and with time, those smaller victories becomes a big victory. But here's what it does for you as you're checking these boxes off. With these check boxes, trust me, I've been doing this for like a decade or whatever. I've been doing this for over a decade, whatever, probably almost 2 decades now. I've been doing this for a long time now, and it feels so good with each checkbox I do to this day. Right, later on today, when I check off a box, it's going to feel good for me. It's going to be like, oh, I did that. Check. It's small victories, just small wins. They feel good. They give me momentum. They give me confidence, right? They motivate me. They encourage me to go on to the next task, that I can accomplish the next task the same way I just did that. You've got to do the checking boxes, man. You've got to do the checking boxes. So those are, I call them daily objectives on here, but really to myself, I say, hey, have I done my checking boxes? Right. So get your checking boxes done. All right. The other thing about them is whenever you're actually making your task, your objectives, your daily objectives, it gets your brain juices flowing. It really gets your brain juices flowing. It helps you organize, because a lot of people, and I want you guys to hear this. What a lot of people do is a lot of people will just say, "Hey, yeah, I'm going to go off and I'm going to do this today," and it's just kind of a random thing that you're going to do. Now I'll take a step back and I'm like, man, how is that going to help you get to where you're trying to get to, or do you know how that's going to help you get to where you're trying to get to? It might, or it might not. But when you make your checking boxes, these are things that get your brain juices flowing. You say, okay, if I'm limiting myself to 5 things today, I got to prioritize them. So it gets you thinking. And when you're thinking, it helps you set up your greater vision for the long term. All right, make your checking boxes, daily objectives. All right, so the third thing, so let's recap. Number 1, optimize your environment. Number 2 is your checking boxes, right? Your daily objectives. The third thing is so huge. I need you guys to hear me on this one, right? This third thing is so critical for your productivity. So critical. It's call the consult first. Call the consult first. And this is something I've been saying for a long time now. I took it from the world of medicine. What we do in medicine, we teach our interns, again, our residents, to call the consult first, right? So I took that out of the world of medicine and I use it in my real life all the time. And it's been one of the biggest things to kind of give me momentum in what I'm doing. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. So you understand, what happens is, as a doctor, you come in the morning, right? It's early in the morning, you come in, you got to go see your patients and do all these things, right? So you might go around your patients really quick, or even sometimes before you round your patients, you have a general idea as to what needs to happen for that day. Some patients you're going to need help with, right? So I'm a pulmonary and critical care doctor. I am a lung and ICU doctor. So there's something about, if I got a patient with a fractured, femur, that's not my field. That's not my specialty. So rather than going through and doing everything that I have to do for my patient, if I know that the patient's fractured femur is a huge issue, I'm going to call the orthopedic surgeon first. I'm going to call the consult early in the day, call them first so I don't hold that process up. Do you understand? Right. I don't want to hold the process up. So I'm not going to go through, do all my work for the day and then call the consult at the end of the day. And then we got to wait till the next day, all that. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get there. I'm going to call the consult first so they can start working while I'm working. So instead of just me working right now, I'm working and the consultant is working. We're working together and more things are getting done. More things are getting done. Our productivity level goes through the roof. So by the end of the day or after my consultant has seen the patient, I'm in a different position now. I have more information to make my next decisions in terms of what I'm going to do for the patient, right? You have to call the consult early and not be delayed because you didn't do that. So I take that out to anything outside of medicine. I do it all the time, right? So just like the example I just gave you on here was about my checkbox thing was about taxes, right? It's my accountant. The checkbox was about call my accountant. So I'm going to call my accountant early. Right, call them early. Whatever it is that I need, anything that I need help with. This morning already, my brother, some of you guys, we run Black Men in White Coats. My brother, Dr. Daniel, this morning, we're texting back and forth about our vision, our new ideas for some of our summits that are coming up here in the upcoming months, right? And I asked him to do that stuff early. So while he's thinking about that, he's planning and he's coming up with the vision. He's got a great mind. He's very creative. While he's coming up with this vision and thinking about stuff, I'm working and doing all this other stuff that needs to be done too, right? So two parts of this. Number one is I'm not trying to do it all by myself because I can't do it all by myself. Now I tell this to my brother all the time. I'm like, dude, I need help. That's one thing. I need to make an episode about this idea of your willingness to admit that you need help. That's one thing that I'm very willing to do. Let people know I need help, right? I need help. Think about it all the time in the NBA. Again, I'm a basketball guy. In the NBA, you have all these NBA players. Easy one that comes to mind right now is Dame Lillard. Dame Lillard was in Portland for all these years, right? Playing his butt off, just killing. Everybody knew he was one of the best players in the NBA, just dominating as an individual, but couldn't advance through the playoffs to get where he wanted to get to and get an NBA championship. At first, he was like, "Yeah, I'm loyal, right? I'm not going anywhere, And I'm sure he was telling the truth. He didn't want to go anywhere, right? But after a while, I was like, "Hey guys, I need help, and you guys aren't bringing me in the help. All right, then we'll get it. Hey guys, I need help. We'll get you help. I need help. We'll get you help. I need help. All right, I'm out." And he just leaves to go to a place where he can get help. All right. So you've got to be willing to ask for help sometimes to get to the next stage of life towards your mission, wherever you're trying to get to. Be willing to ask for help, right? And this call to consults is one of those things where you gotta say, "Hey, I need help." So with everything and all my businesses or work, whatever, I am very, very, very willing to stop and think not always how do I do that, but more so who can help me do that. Change your how to a who. Change your how to a who. It's not always like, man, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do that? Like, let me go read this. Let me go read that. Let me go read that. Sometimes it's, hey, look, I know I can't do everything. I know I need help. So who can help me do that while I focus on this? And that's a constant state of my life. I'm in that state of life right now. I've got my things that I'm focusing on. I'm locked in, I'm mentally locked in. And then I'm hiring over here. This person's doing that. This person's doing that. Right. I'm delegating and I'm asking for help in these various areas that I can do. But as you're doing it, I'm calling the consults early. So as soon as I know something in that area needs to be done, the first thing I do is I call that person, say, "Hey, this needs to be done. Can you help me work on this?" Like, I mean, you could ask my assistant, Trisha. Shout out to Trisha. What up, Trisha? So Trisha's my assistant, been my assistant for quite some time now. And she'll tell you very quick to text, "Hey, Trisha, can you help me with this?" Right. And don't wait till it's too late, right? Do it as early as possible to give them enough time to be successful at whatever it is that they're working on. And while they're working, I'm working. So by the time they're done with whatever they need and get it back to me, I have that bit of information to go off and do whatever I need to do with it. Critical, man. I hope you guys are getting that. That's one of the ones that people don't teach as much, that this idea of call the consult first. Call the consult first. And obviously you don't want to be the bottleneck in what you do. All right. So let's recap real quick. So 3 steps to let me change that to 3 simple steps, because these things are actually really simple also, right? These are 3 simple steps, not hard steps. 3 simple steps to increase your productivity, right? So step number 1, optimize your environment. Whatever it is you're doing, make sure your environment is optimized. Don't be trying to work out of chaos. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. Unless if your job requires chaos, but or whatever it is you're doing requires chaos. Don't try to work in chaos. Step number 2, your checking boxes. Have your checking boxes, know what they are, your daily objectives, prioritize them, know what they are. Step number 3, call the consult first. Call the consult first and be willing to admit that you need help. All right, you know what I need you to do right now. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you guys are sharing this stuff. Help me out here. Again, as I always tell you on most episodes, I am doing the best job that I can. I'm working hard to bring you guys some real simple, practical stuff. Practical. So I'm not getting on stage and being like, hey, do this. No, I'm giving you guys very practical stuff that you can go implement right now, today. You can literally sit down, make your checking boxes today. You can literally sit down and say, who do I need to call for help today? I'm giving you practical stuff to help you change your life today. And trust me, if you're willing to listen, if you're willing to come back, I'm not going to lie. I was talking to my brother about this yesterday. I paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars year after year after year for my own personal growth. I'm giving you guys this information free game, right? So if you're willing to listen and do these things can change your life. They can change your life. All right, man. Really appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening, man. I know I get rowdy and ask you guys to subscribe, and I kind of do it in a joking manner, but I really would appreciate if you subscribe. All right, so here's what YouTube is going to do right now. YouTube is going to put a couple of videos around here, just showing you those videos because they believe that you are going to enjoy those videos. Go ahead and click on those videos, subscribe. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching. You have permission to be great, and I love you.